Ibukun Omololu is the principal consultant and lead researcher for the Teal Tree Company, a women's development consulting firm focused on bridging gender gaps through structured leadership development and financial education initiatives and interventions. She is strongly committed to increasing female representation in leadership and executive management cadres of organizations and society at large through gender parity and diversity initiatives. Ibukun is the convener of Woman of Wealth financial literacy webinars and the executive producer of her podcast and newsletters, Being More with Ibukun, a project that inspires women to amplify their voices and hone their leadership skills for more impact and influence. Before venturing into entrepreneurship, Ibukun worked in the financial services sector for over 14 years, leading the design and delivery of tailored financial products and services designed to meet the needs of women across multiple strata. As the former head, one woman, the women banking team at Sterling Bank, a leading financial institution in Nigeria, Ibukun was at the forefront of numerous development projects like the launch of the Bloom Network, an initiative designed to groom and optimize leadership capabilities for women across essential business areas at Sterling Bank. Women's Banking Market Survey, fully funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, transformation project propelling Sterling Bank from a fully functional traditional bank to a digital bank, financial literacy training of over 800 women at the EDC Cherry Blair ExxonMobil Road to Growth program. Other major achievements culminated in the bank winning the prestigious 2017 CBN Sustainability Award for Women Banking. Ibukun is a nominee for the 2021 Trailblazers Award by the Strategic African Women in Leadership Survey organization and one of 20 globally selected purpose ambassadors of Bridge for Billions, advocating innovation and inclusive practice for women entrepreneurs and founders. At her church, the Covenant Nation, she volunteers as the governor of a community group for work from home mothers, where she leads female working professionals and business owners through a structured coaching journey of personal transformation and development designed to help stay-at-home mothers build self-efficacy and support systems to enable them attain adequate balance between family, career, and life demands. Ibukun has worked with organizations like ExxonMobil, Covenant Capital, Tutorial, Floor Mills Nigeria, Flourish Africa, amongst others. A gifted public speaker and a trainer, she has graced a wide array of platforms addressing distinguished emerging leaders, women networks at multinational corporations, SME owners, and more. Ibukun holds a BA in linguistics from the University of Ilorin. She's a certified retail banker from the prestigious Retail Banking Academy, UK. She's the author of 4 books, the most prominent being Behind the Little Bundles of Joy, which she uses to educate and prepare women about childbirth entails and postpartum care. She's happily married to Adedayo Omololu, and they are blessed with 2 beautiful boys. Ibukun enjoys traveling and exotic food experience. So let's make welcome Miss Ibukun Omololu. Well, please, can you turn on your video? Welcome. We're so excited to have you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for accepting.
Thank you. I just want to confirm. Oh, okay. Oh, please,
Yeah.
anytime. It's a pleasure to work with you. Excellent. And thank you for the great work you're doing. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Can I get access to share my screen so that I can present the slides as well?
Absolutely, you have access now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for excellence. But the generous, I was like, are you going to read all of that, or you're just going to cut it? Thank you for the generous introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm super proud of the work you're doing, and I'm happy to work with you at any time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma.
So today I've been briefed to speak with you about she and her finance, and I just put in a little tagline under there as why women need to make money and why they need to grow money, because it's really important. Beyond everything, please just give me a moment. Let me put this on full screen mode. Fantastic. Okay. So beyond everything I'm going to say today, I'm going to be sharing different things with you. I do not want to flood you with too much information, but basically, we're just going to go into a bit of housekeeping, the objectives, what is personal finance, budgeting, next steps, then questions and answers. So as we go on, let's agree to be open to new ideas and express any disagreement respectfully. I'm sure we won't have any disagreement anyway by the time I'm done. Feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and please feel free to, I like to see that you're participating. So please let me know that you're following me. You could use icons, your reactions, your smileys, whatever, just to let me know that you're still listening. And then the questions will be taken. It will be entertained after the presentation. Okay, so the objective of this, really, what's in it for you? One, why should you listen to me? Is to help you think about your finance and wealth within the context of your location. So regardless of whether you live in Nigeria or you do not live in Nigeria, wherever you are in the world, this training is supposed to help you think about your finance and your wealth within the context of your location. It's also to help you evaluate your finance and provide a reference point for improvement. So it's basically to help you look at what you're doing right, what you're not doing right, and how you can do better, where do you want to move to in certain financial goals for yourself. Lastly, next it's going to help you set measurable financial goals that makes you profitable to yourself and to your family, because that's really what we want to see at the end of the day. And then it's also to provide you with information, opportunities, accountability, and support in planning for your finance and your future. And nothing gives me more pleasure than really teaching about finance, because it's an area that I know a lot of women are trying to improve and they're trying to learn, but it's an area that women are really lacking in. Okay, so just before I get right into it, did you know that 60% of the poorest people in Nigeria are women? How many of you knew that? Let me see your reaction. Do you know 60% of the poorest people in Nigeria are women? And this was a research done according to IFC. This was in 2017. And the number was even staggering. It was going up to about, I think it was 86 million people. Of the 86, about the 60 women were about 60 something, who were poor. And guess what? These women were in their older age. They were above 55 years old. And, for me, these are, yes, especially in the rural areas. Thank you so much, Mary. For me, these are staggering numbers because I'm a woman and I see quite a number of women who are starting out in life but not giving thoughts to their future. They're not giving thoughts to what becomes of them by the time they get older. And even beyond that, when you look at the domains within gender inequality, it persists largely in areas of acquiring financial and human endowments. And when I talk about things like that, it's really around how are people able to access education, how are women able to access health care, how are they able to access financial endowments for themselves, to take up opportunities, and then how are they able to use those opportunities to make profits for themselves. So it's in 3 dimensions, and women are the most lacking in all of this. And we found out that what a lot of women actually are lacking is agency, meaning that they do not have the power or decisions to make, or the power or the choice to make decisions that affect them largely. So having worked with women for a long time, I tend to see that at the end of the day, they tend to be the most vulnerable in society. The way poverty impacts women is totally different from the way poverty impacts men. And so for me, it was totally unacceptable. And I was like, oh, what can we do about this? And I started to, do a bit of more research on what we could do for women. Contrary to the belief that access to finance is really the problem for women, and this is arguably this is something that is contestable, but I strongly believe, and because I have done the research, that it's not just access to finance. It's actually helping women to know how to handle finance first before they access the finance, and then they're able to use it. Because what I find is when people do not know how to actually handle income, when you give them funds, they misuse, they mismanage, or they misdirect the funds. So funds that were used for, that were initially gotten for business would now be diverted into something else, because the psychological part and the mindset part has not been worked on. And oftentimes I see when, from my experience in banking, when you do a lot of this capacity development trainings, we really do not focus on the psychological part. We just tell them, oh, this is how to access funds, this is what they need to do, and all. And then by the time they access the funds, they're most likely not using it the way they're supposed to, or they've diverted it into other things. So what I'm just going to be doing today is to kind of break down a bit on the psychological part of funding to you. Now, why women? Why am I doing this? I already told you that 60% of the poorest people in Nigeria are women. The impact of the pandemic is more staggering than you think. Save the Children estimates that there will be 18 million girls that will be married off between now and 2025 because of the impact of the pandemic, meaning families are not able to feed. And so they would rather pull their daughters out of school and get them married off to be able to access some form of funds so that they could live. So it's really, and that's just on one side. We've not even spoken about domestic violence, which to a large extent is really one of the determining factors, is because women do not have the agency. They do not have the funds to be able to actually take decisions or have a voice to be able to do things on their own. So what I find from research too is that most of the women who have been abused, even if they leave their abusers, who could their spouses and the likes, they tend to return back to them because they do not have any sum of funds. So it's important that we know some of these dimensions to it. Also, there are more women in necessity-driven entrepreneurship rather than innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Now, what do I mean by that? Necessity-driven entrepreneurship is that a single household income is not enough. It's not sustainable for the average Nigerian family anymore. So most women who are not working are looking for how to support their husbands who may be working in terms of funding. So they would rather do business. So that business is not really innovation driven. It's not really about, oh, there's a problem here that I can solve, and this is what I'm trying to use to solve it. It's more about, oh, to keep body and soul alive, and then for survival, I need to be able to do this business. So most women, several of them are doing businesses that may not necessarily interest them, but they're just doing it to, like, while away time, which is why you see quite a number of women who are just like local players and not really moving into the global stage as core business owners who have started businesses from home and are doing great things with it. Next, women outlive men and have less financial independence. So truth of the matter, statistics have shown all over the world that women are outliving the men because men are, for lack of words, are dying earlier than women. And I had a boss who used to say that word. It was the women killing the men, but I don't believe so. So when women outlive men, the men are going to leave the world. What are they going to leave the world to? Hopefully to the women, even though I have research to show that most men do not put their wives or the women as their beneficiaries. They usually make them next of kin, and there's a clear difference between that, in case you do not know. So women outlive men, and they are less financial independent in terms of they do not have too much agency to be able to do things. So if perchance they are able to administer over the estate of their husbands, if it's something that they've not been doing, how are they going to be able to manage it effectively if it's not something that they've been able to learn, they've been able to train, might get their hands burnt a bit, but learn and know better? Because when you do things and you do it better, you tend to be when you do things and you do it repeatedly, you tend to get better and you tend to sharpen your skills when you do that. Lastly, women have lower financial inclusion levels, and we've always known that there are more men who are included in the financial space than women, and there's so many things that contributes to this that do not let women actually have all of this. So that's why I am doing a lot of this. So basically, it starts with your personal finance. Now, this is a long shot, taking it from here on what personal finance is, but I will try to build a bit of context and background. I have one of my resources here in front of me in case you're wondering why my eyes are oscillating. It's basically just to be able to give you a good background on it. So before we get into personal finance, it's important for us to understand what I term the financial DNA. And I believe every single person has a financial DNA, which has sets of assumptions that determine how you relate with money. And it impacts on how successful you are with your finance. And it comes in three forms. Oh, awesome. I'm sorry, I have a little one here who just finished his Indomie and wanted to announce to mommy. Thank you. Okay, can I have some space? Okay, thank you. So just go back to your brother and let me finish my work. Thank you, mommy duties. So I was talking about financial DNA. Your financial DNA has sets of assumptions that determine how you relate to money and impacts on how successful you are with your finance. And it comes in three forms. First, it comes in your money beliefs. And this is basically your psychology about money. Why am I going into this? Because everybody has a script. Everybody has been handed some set of assumptions that they've grown with, that has formed their patterns, that has formed a lot of their habits, that has formed quite a number of things. So when you see someone who you think this person should have done well for himself and hasn't done well in like the past 4 or 5 years, it's because of these patterns and these habits that they've not been able to actually crack, okay, that keeps them in patterns and cycles for a long time. And these are very weighty stuff, so I want you to please follow me. So really, like I said, it's your psychological belief about money. Now, these things are not taught. Nobody sits you down to teach you, okay? You actually catch them. You catch them from observing. You catch them from watching. You catch them from growing in a household. You catch them from the interactions that your parents or the people you grew up with have actually given to you. So it is caught. It is not taught. And that is really one of the biggest and most efficient way of teaching people to learn things unconsciously. So what has happened is that a lot of us do not really know where we learn about money. So if I ask you now, who taught you about money? Maybe you've read about books, but you've never actually sat down to learn about money. You've never actually gone through any form of business or finance class in terms of what is money, what is wealth. If you think about it, where did you learn about it? Some of you have never learned it. Some of you, everything you've known about it has been from your parents. Some of you have read books that has really formed it. But then when you look at your terrain and your environment, it's a different thing when you pick things from abroad and you cannot apply them or customize it to your context, to your location. So the things, we pick up all of these things that cause behavioral defects and patterns, and it is not taught, it is caught. It's somewhere in your subconscious mind. And it's very important for me to mention here that when a child picks up something, by the time the child is 7 or 8, that habit is formed, it is stuck. And so they carry that habit into adulthood. And the truth of the matter is, if they never sit down to actually go through some of those subconscious thoughts and some of the things they've learned about money, they will start implementing it without knowing where those things are coming from. So to make you understand this, how do children learn and how do adults learn? We learn in basically 3 large ways. Auditory. You listen to things and you do it repeatedly until you get it. So if you want to learn a song right now, you put it on repeat until the melody or the symphony sticks, and then the words will start coming to you because you put it on repeat over time. It's repeated learning okay, which is auditory learning. Next is visual learning. When it's visual learning, these are ways in which learners learn by absorbing information when they see materials presented to them. And then these materials, they associate it with certain things. So if I tell somebody, I want, what is wealth to you? If I talk about wealth to someone, someone would be thinking of wealth in terms of cash, maybe bone straight hair, a car, a nice luxury car, expensive vacation. If I talk to somebody else about wealth, the person is probably thinking bonds, cash, bonds, treasury bills, a good network, good relationship, social capital, good health. If I talk to wealth about somebody else, the person is thinking refineries, is thinking long-term capital projects and all the likes. So those are the things they associate it with based on what they've seen over and over and over and over time. Now, the last way people learn is called tactile or kinesthetic learning. And it's the combination of the auditory and the, I think there's a bit of interference. Sorry, forgive me, I'm trying to mute. Okay, I think the person is muted. So it's a combination of both the auditory and the visual. This is where you see something, you've heard it, and you've gotten so used to it that you now start acting it out, which is what happens to a lot of us. So the truth of the matter is you learn consciously or unconsciously by listening or looking at things consistently and not knowing that you have subtly or inherently imbibed those things. And this is what is termed learning by pickup, where you have seen it, you've seen it so much, you've heard it so much, and then you start to exhibit it. So what I'm going to ask you is this: were there things you saw or heard your parents talk about money, or did not talk about money, or did not talk about, that influenced you or your attitude about money from an early age that you have carried on into your older years, and it is holding you back? Now, all of this makes up your money beliefs. Your money beliefs forms your mindset. So your money beliefs could be something like, based on what you've grown up with, you feel money is difficult to make. It's easier to spend money than to save money. It's normal to struggle and live in poverty. Or I can only be comfortable by marrying a rich husband. It is not good for a woman to be rich. Loans are bad. It is impossible to achieve my financial goals. Money is a limited resource, so do what you can to get as much of it as possible. Spend your entire life getting money, because that is the most important thing. If you don't get money, is what you should trade your life for, and so spend your entire life making money. And so these are some of the things that we grow up with that influences the kind of job, the kind of work, the kind of career we want to take, and all of that. And so it's amazing that we grow up with all of this, and then it forms a mindset. Now your mindset is the unique set of beliefs and that forms your attitude about money. So if you believe that money is difficult to make, you're probably the one that you will get your salary at the end of the month. You believe, okay, it's already difficult to make. After making this money, I eat, I blow everything, and we wait till next month. And these are the things that actually affect people in not planning for their income, in saying, oh, actually, if I'm able, if I'm making this amount of money, I should be able to, break it down into parts. What do I put here? What do I put there? What do I put there? Now, this money mindset now affects your money management skills, because really, when you think about it, that, oh, money is difficult to make. Whatever you make today, let's just eat it, blow it, and so your there's no money management skill for you. You're not taking any necessary step or action to help you plan your finance. And this is what makes a difference between somebody who is an impulse buyer and a person who is a calculated buyer. The idea is not to restrict your lifestyle, but the idea is for you to know that oh, based on these beliefs I have, this is how I relate with my money. And this is why I think it is a limited or scarce resource. And so you do not plan well. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, because that really forms the background, now that we've formed that background, we can now go into personal finance. Because personal finance is the process where one arranges to make, to save, to spend, and to invest money to live comfortably, have financial security, and achieve financial goals. Now, everything I had walked you through is the sole reason why people access funds and they do not use it well. This is the sole reason why people get paid salaries or they start a business and they are not able to use the money, eject the money back into their business or even plan well for it. So what happens is they've gotten paid for a job, but they're like, at the end of it, I don't even know where the money went. I don't even know how the money went. That's actually what happens. And this is from a lot of research, personal research, as well as a lot of experience I have had teaching people financial literacy and helping people to access loans. This is really the issue. It's not just accessing the loans, because you can access the loans, trust me, but then you don't use it well. And it's the same thing that is tied to retirees who are given a large amount of money when they retire. 6 months down the line, there's no more funds. After they've been given like maybe 85 million or 120 million, 6 months down the line, there's no more funds. So really, it's the process where we arrange to make, because it's important that we're making money. So what Excellence has taught you right now is how to make money using your skills, using yourself, because you yourself you're an asset, you're a form of wealth, in case you do not know. The skills and the things you're doing is really what brings money for you. You know, people say time is money. No, time is not money. Time plus your skills equals money, because that's what it's going, that's the exchange you're going to give. That's the exchange, that the value you're going to give in exchange for the money. So you need to be able to make money, okay? And then you need to be able to save money and then spend money. And I say save because you need to be able to put something out for yourself, okay? That this is how much I'm going to be keeping for myself, or this is how much I'm going to be keeping for the business, or this is how much I'm going to be putting back if I have the loan and all. And then after planning on that saving, then you can now plan on what it is you want to spend. What happens is people put the spend before the save. So they expend everything, okay, without thinking of what it is I am going to put out and save. Because trust me, if you don't save, what you save is actually what you're going to use to invest. Because when people tell you, oh, there's an opportunity here, it's because you've eaten up your seeds. The seeds that you're supposed to use, that are supposed to be compounded, where you can now put it into investment for yourself. You've eaten it up. You didn't put it aside that we're going to save. You've actually spent it. And so that's what quite a number of people are doing. So there are people who are running businesses who are not planning for their retirement. Okay, because I find a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of you will follow under this, because they're going to become virtual assistants, executive assistants, content writers and digital planners and all. I want you to think of it in the long run. It's not just for you to survive. It's also how are you going to be able to apportion this funding and this money in such a way that your stakes are also vested and you're taking care of yourself. So you're able to make money, save money, spend money, and then invest. The 7 parts to invest sometimes take a long time. What they don't tell you is that it takes a long time. You feel that it's just, it's an overnight thing. So you now go and take your rent money to save and think you want to invest. But the rent is in 6 months' time and it doesn't make sense, because you're now going to start putting yourself under pressure. So the saving is something different, that you know that how much can I conveniently put out every month? Is it 5? Good. If it's 5, it's going to take me 2 years to be able to save as much as 120,000. Then you know that that is your plan and you're doing it. And this is really how you achieve your financial goals. This is really about setting financial goals, which a lot of people do not think about. So now I have told you quite a lot of things. What next after this? Because you've learned about that. And please, I just want to check the chat to see that Thank you. Fantastic. I see you're all following me. People spend money before they save. Yes, that's what happens. Fantastic. So what next? Because I've told you quite a lot of things. So the first thing you need to do is to assess your current financial situation. Sit down, calm down, and take a look at your financial situation. Where am I? Am I making money? Am I not making any money? Do I have money? If I have money, how much do I own? How much do I have in the bank? How much do I have as assets? How much do I have in the business? How much are all the things I have? If I have clothes and everything, just put an estimate to it, because this is really what we call your net worth, checking your net worth. But you need to assess your current financial situation. Now, all these things are intertwined. You can't jump one and go to the other, because it's going to affect it. You're probably going to have to go back to it. And even after you've done this, over time, you will still come back to it. It's not a one size. It's not that you just assess your current situation once and that's the end. No, you still come back to assess. 6 months down the line, you come back to assess your current situation. 2 years down the line, you come back to assess your current situation, because you all, the thing with finance is you constantly have to keep checking. And that's why you have auditors who say they are doing monthly audits or they are doing yearly audits, and their financial returns and all of that, and statement of accounts and everything, because you have to keep checking. So you need to assess your current financial situation. Where am I right now? Am I making money? 1, 2. Am I not making money? That's a different ballgame. Okay, I have assets. I have money. I have this. Do I owe anybody? Because the way to determine your net worth is to subtract what you owe. So if you have debt outside, if you have you're owing a bank or something, you take what you owe, you add up what it is you owe, and you take it away from what it is you own. So if all my net worth today is about 20 million, and then I am owing a bank about 5 million, 20 million minus 5 million shows that I have 15 million. So my net worth is 15 million. Now that is a good net worth. So based on that, I can now decide, so now I have 15 million. How do I make this 15 million work for me? Or what is the return on investment that I'm going to make this money do for me? So do I want to start putting money in stocks? Do I want to start putting it in bonds? Do I want to start, and those are all areas of personal finance. The truth of the matter is, when you handle your personal finance well, it's the same principles that you need in handling personal finance that you put into a business. The only difference is that the business is an entity, it is not you, but it's the same principles. The fact that you're able to keep records is the same principles that is required when it's in a business, because your records, your invoices, your invoices, your records, your statements, all of those things are everything that would show that this person is actually keeping record and is actually able to use it well. So you assess your current financial situation. So if I am owing the bank 30 million and my net worth is 20 million, that's already, I'm already in debit. I don't even have any, my net worth is in negative. That's minus 10 million. So for that kind of person, you're now thinking, how am I going to pay my loan? That should be your next financial goals, because this is really how to set financial goals, okay? When you assess your current financial situation, it will determine what it is you need to do. Do you need to start paying off your debt? How do you make a plan to pay off your debt? And it's not that you will get 1 million immediately and then you now put it in. No, you schedule a plan. How much do I need to put out every month or every year? How much can I conveniently do? It's really up to you on how to do that. But you just don't take, because you're still going to feed, you're still going to take care of yourself, you're still going to take care of your family and quite a number of things, because it is the first level of wealth really is you, and it's about your health. Because it's somebody who is perfectly okay, who is healthy, who is mentally healthy, mentally stable, who is physically stable, who is physically healthy, that can be thinking of, I want to run a business and all of that. So there are different levels of wealth. What we only see and focus on is money, which is actually the least one. There are about 4 or 5 other different levels of wealth, which is a different conversation for another day. So when you have assessed your current financial situation and you've actually determined what your financial goal is, if you're in deficit, you know that, okay, I need to pay this off. If you're good, you're like, okay, how best can I do better? How best can I handle my funds? What do I need to put it in? Do I need to put it back in a business? Do I need to put it in some form of investment that would give me returns? Am I buying properties? Am I buying land? And so it really depends on the kind of risks you're willing to take and the place you are in life. What I find is for a lot of young people, they are so eager that they are not really planning on, or they are not budgeting well. And I'll take you through that quickly. So the next thing is to set a financial goal, which I have told you about. In doing that, you need to be able to determine what is a short-term goal, what is a mid-term goal, and what is a long-term goal. You don't want to make a short-term goal a long-term goal, and you don't want to make a long-term goal a short-term goal. What do I mean by that? So for some of us here who are mothers, we're going to be paying school fees in maybe another 1 month or 2 months. You now want to invest, to go and invest your son's school fees or your daughter's school fees for maybe a long-term investment, which doesn't really make sense because you're going to use that money in the next few months. So what you are going to be doing is that, okay, I need to save for my school fees. My son's school fees is in 3 months' time and all of that. That is a short-term goal. And so you will now start looking for how to save that and not just take your son's school fees to go and put it in an investment somewhere, and then you're now stranded when it's time to pay. Or you're going to pay rent at the end of the year. You're now using your rent to quickly go and invest in maybe agricultural that would be for a duration of 8 months. You're going to put yourself under unnecessary pressure because that money is for rent. And so, but when landlord starts saying, "Where's my money?" You can't say, "Oh, landlord, please give me 8 months time. Let it." No. And so this is why you need to plan short term, mid term, long term. So short term, you know that this is how much I'm paying within this time. How much where do I get this money from? How much do I need to make to get this money out? Okay. And so this helps you to plan. Next is your mid term. So short term could be like maybe school fees. It could be like maybe you have a business you want to really start in the next 3 or 6 months and all of that. Mid-term is more or like about 2 to 3 years, or maybe even 4 years or 5 years, depending. It is totally subjective and it's up to you, because some long-term could be 20 years, some long-term could be 10 years and all of that. And it's very important that you're able to set things right and properly. Okay, so once you have set your financial goal, your next work is, now that I've set this financial goal, how do I get it? How do I achieve it? Which one am I achieving in the short term? Which one am I achieving in the mid-term? Which one am I achieving in the long term? Then when you start making your money, you know that long term is like 10 years. So you open a savings account and then you start putting in the money there. When the money has reached a certain level, this is where it takes time. When the money has reached a certain level, you cannot say, okay, I want to put this in a mutual fund, maybe a 20,000 every month. I want to put this in a mutual fund. I want to put this in some form of investment that would be giving me some form of returns. But you know that this money, I'm not touching it for the next 10 years. This is for the long term. So, but why it is there for the long term, this is what I'm going to be putting it in. So long term could also be things like pensions. So you open a pension account right now, a micro pension account, and you start putting in something for yourself, so that by the time you get to your twilight years, it's not like you're depending on a child or your husband. What if something happens to your husband? What if something happens to the child? This is Nigeria. We know how different things happen. Okay. And so that's how you actually plan for everything, by setting that financial goal based on what it is you're earning and what you can conveniently take out. If it is 2,000, you can conveniently take out for your long term. Yes, it will take you a long time. But the fact that you're taking it out and you're building it consistently, it does something to you. And it teaches you the principle of being able to take out something. See, once you learn that principle of being able to take out that 2,000, if you have to pay back a loan tomorrow, where you consistently have to take out, you've already developed that muscle in your mindset. You've already developed that muscle as a principle that I need to take this out. These are part of the things that we do not think about in the long run. And it's a lot of psychological things that even I can't begin to explain right now. And then you have a plan. Basically, all what I have told you right now is really about having a plan. So you know that in the next 10 years, I'm going to be putting out 2,000. Okay, maybe after 5 months or 6 months, if I have more money, I can increase that 2,000 to 5,000. Maybe along the years, after I've done so well, I can increase that 5,000 to 10,000, up to the point where you can confidently decide that I want to increase this money to 100,000 and I'm putting it out there. But you need to have that plan that with every funds I am getting, and please, now that you're starting a business, it's not that immediately you start getting that money. You know, business finance is somewhat different because you have to break even. Okay, you cannot just, you need to know the amount of money you're putting into it, and when you're taking it back from it first, before you can now start deciding, okay, well, this money, do I want to put it back in the business? And then after the business has started doing well for itself, you can now start planning, this is how much I'm going to be taking for this is how much I'm going to be taking for this is how much I'm going to be. But basically, the principle starts from your personal finance. If you are able to crack this, trust me, your business will be a piece of cake. This is what I find lacking in quite a number of business owners. So you need to have that plan where you know that, okay, in the next 3 months, this is how much I'm paying, this is how much I'm going to do it. In the next and so in setting your financial goal, I'm sorry, I forgot, I omitted this. It's important to also determine what you want your net worth to be. Maybe in the next 6 months, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, it's very important so that you can see yourself in the future, that this is where I'm going to. That is the reference point where assessment is giving you that, okay, right now, I'm not doing so great with my finance. But I give myself the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, I should have done this business to this. And in the next 5 years, I should be able to open a micro account where I am putting in 50,000 naira for my pensions every month. I should be able to have a savings account where I'm putting in 10,000 every month as an emergency fund. I should be able to have maybe a trust for my children where I'm putting in 2,000 consistently every month and all of. So it's in determining those financial goals that you say, my net worth in the next, and please be very realistic. You know, the way we set goals, SMART, okay, specific, measurable, oh gosh, I forgot the A, realistic, time bound. I forgot the A, I'm sorry.
Attainable.
Attainable. Exactly. So you can't say that now that you just started the business that is just giving you like maybe 20,000 monthly. You now set a goal of 1 billion. That's outrageous. I mean, you've not even touched 1 million yet. You're now setting 1 billion for yourself. So you have to ensure that you're not putting yourself under. Please forgive me, my toddler is really. So you need to be able to actually determine that and set that for yourself, and then have a plan and then stick to that plan. Now, a good way of sticking to that plan is what we call a budget. It is a monthly financial plan that divides your income into categories that helps you to create a balance around your income. Remember when I said you don't want to use rent money to go and pay other things? It's very important that you strike that balance. If not, you're going to put yourself under a lot of pressure. The most important thing is that you have that balance. It gives you a leeway where you are calm, you're not under pressure, and your mind is at rest. Because when you are flustered and you are not and you are fretting, you're not in the best frame of mind to be productive or to give the best outreach or to be creative or to actually put your best into your business. And so you really don't want to start putting yourself under a lot of pressure. So you have a budget, a monthly financial plan, and it's nothing so serious. If you are the one who likes to plan with pen and paper, get a journal, get a financial journal and start planning in it. I'm currently designing a financial journal for next year because I find a lot of people struggle with that. If you are not someone who likes pen and paper, then get an Excel sheet and start putting it in. This is how much I'm going to be spending on food and the likes. So let me break down what I did here. Essential expenses are things around your life. You're going to feed. You're going to be well-groomed. You're going to take care of yourself. I'm almost done, Excellence, because I can see your face. And it's important that you set out that amount for your essential expenses. It's essential. It's things that are going to help you keep your head above water and basically help you to live a healthy and a sane lifestyle where you're not putting yourself under pressure. Then lifestyle choices. These are nice to have. It is not compulsory. So you want to go and eat at Sheraton. You don't have to do that every time. So what I do to make it more meaningful for me is once I hit my financial, okay, so before I get ahead of myself, lifestyle choices are things like you want to take your family out for lunch, you want to go on a vacation, you want to travel out and all of that. It's up to, it's not compulsory, but it's up to you. It's what it is you want to do. Then there are now financial priorities. Financial priorities are things like your retirement, your emergency funds and all of that, where you're taking out 20% of your funds and putting it into it. So what I do is after I have taken out 20, each time when I hit my financial priorities, I reward myself with a lifestyle choice. That if I hit this thing, if I do this, I am going to, the validation for me to reward myself is that I will take myself out for lunch in this place. That makes it more meaningful for me than for me to just say, okay, every month I'll be going to Sheraton to buy it. No. So I tie it into something. If I do this, I will reward myself by taking myself here. So it becomes more meaningful for me to achieve that goal. And after I achieve that goal, I know that, okay, I'm taking myself to reward myself here. So you can be creative on how you want to do it. It just gives you that intrinsic value on what it is you want to do. But you need to have this budget where you are determining, okay, well, this is what I'm going to be doing. So to end the training, these are quotes from two great women who I admire. First is Oprah Winfrey, who say, my philosophy is that not only are you responsible for your life, but doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. I want you to think critically about where you are right now. And the steps you're going to take for the next moment is what would move you forward. It may be as much as, it could be as little as taking the next decision on how much you're going to be making every month, or even how much you're going to be setting out for yourself. The biggest win for me when I do financial literacy training is that the women I train are moving on to the next step. So it could be something like somebody changing their mind, like, oh, I'm going to go and take a loan next time. I actually qualify for it and I know how to use it and I'm going to use it well. Or somebody saying, oh, I've overcome this fear. So what is the next best thing for you at this moment that you need to do with regarding to your business? And the last quote is, every moment wasted looking back keeps us from moving forward. So if you've not done great, you don't need to beat yourself up that, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't, you know. While they say that it's easier to do it when you're younger, and then it's harder when you're older, the truth of the matter is there's always the place of God and providence. And I'm trying to be careful so you don't think that it's all about spiritual things. No, there's sometimes that you could get, there are quite a number of people who are notable people in the world today who did not get their breakthrough until they were in their maybe 40s or 50s and all. So please stop counting your time with somebody else and stop comparing yourself with somebody else, because your times are all different. In this world and the world of tomorrow, we must go forward together or not at all. Where you are right now, one thing I notice about women is we do not pull ourselves together enough. So who do you want to take as an accountability partner, even within this network? Who are the people that you can generate good energy with and say, how can we save together? Now, save together doesn't mean you're going to put the money together, but you're holding yourself accountable, like, okay, 10,000 every month, let's do this. And then you're asking each person, have you saved your own? I've not saved. What happened? Let's help. Let me see. We women, sometimes we don't do that enough. We don't translate that positive energy to pulling ourselves together collectively to do that. So while you're here, look at the person next to you and say, okay, how can we help ourselves? So let's start making smarter choices with our money. And I hope that you have learned something today that you are able to take forward. Next, I want you to think about and write down, what is your financial goal in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, in the next 18 months? Please do this. It's going to change your life. And what is your net worth in the next 2 years? And link it to your business. How much do I want to charge? How much am I going to make in the next few months? Thank you so much for listening to me. You can connect with me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on my website, or you could just send me a mail directly if you have more questions. Thank you so much, and I'm open to your questions now.
Oh, this is so good. Like you guys necessarily agree with me. Like this is so good. Thank you so much, Ma. Like I feel we shouldn't end. We should just keep going on. Money topic is it's very important, but most people, most times we shy away from it, especially women. We don't talk about it. And so we are consistently in a survival mode. I just need to survive. As long as I've eaten, my kids have eaten and they're well fed, I think I'm good. And then they're not thinking about tomorrow, they're not thinking about sustainability, they're not even building anything. So this is wow, like you just scattered the whole table. Thank you so much. I was so grateful. And they're all saying they're so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So
You're most
questions.
welcome.
What are the
Mm.
questions? Do you have any question from the session at all? YouTube, Zoom, please send in your questions. We're here watching. She's here to answer any questions you might have. Let me spotlight her face so that you guys are still sharing your screen so we
Okay,
can
I've
see
stopped
you.
sharing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. So, do we have any questions at all? Any questions, comments, clarifications? She's here. Can ask her now. You have access. You know, she's not a small madam, but she's very busy. But she's giving us this whole time. So let's maximize it as much as possible. Someone said, please, can you elaborate on the essential expenses?
Okay, fantastic. So essential expenses are basically things that you cannot do without. So you have to eat, you have to drink water, you have to take your bath, you have to brush your teeth, grooming, basically. You're going to go about in transport. If you have a car, good for you. Fuel is going to become one of your essential costs because you're going to be moving about. For those without car, they're going to be jumping buses and the likes. So that is an essential cost, especially if you're going to be working or you have businesses that you're going to run. If you have children, you're going to feed them. And so, if it comes in different, so it's really what helps you to get going and keeps you physically and mentally secure. Because if you're hungry, you're not, what kind of work do you want to do? What kind of work do you want to churn out? If you are stressed up and all, how do you really want to work? So that really cuts around essential expenses. Even your rent, you can do it monthly. It's essential because if you don't have if you don't have a roof over your head, that's a lot to deal with. So all those things encompasses essential, the things that are very important for you to live on and that would help you to basically get on day by day. That's really the essential part. Can we get
There are so many questions, like so many. So I'm looking at YouTube and I'm also going to Zoom. So YouTube, someone is asking, do you have 2 books you can recommend to kickstart personal finance or mobile apps to help draw a financial budget?
So Nigeria, I don't really think we have so much of mobile apps that draws financial budget. I've seen some in America, but then it's tied more to the dollar, and it's not their lifestyle is totally different. There's tax, there's groceries, and
Yes.
quite a number of
Yes.
things. I'm trying to remember some of it. It may not necessarily fit into what is here, even though there are some that. So what I can do is everybody has been asking for this. I could do
your journal. They're also asking, when is your journal coming out? We want
my
to
journals,
know.
my journals will be ready by January. Yes, my journals will be ready at January. It's not free, but it's going to be decently priced, trust me, because I realize that it's a big need for quite a number of people to be able to actually write down even how you feel about money. Do you know how liberating that is? There was a day I was so agitated and I couldn't tell what was wrong. And so I just sat down and I started to write. I do not feel too happy right now because, and the feeling started to come out because I have overspent beyond my budget. And I knew that was where I was getting the agitation from. And so I knew that, okay, by next month I had to make adjustments because I'd gone way beyond my budget. And that's one area I'm going to tell you, please do not beat yourself down if you make a mistake 1 month. Don't now say, okay, I've overspent it. I'm not doing it. No. Just fix yourself. Immediately you see that, okay, I've made this mistake. Okay, next month, I am going to just make up your mind that next month, I didn't drop this money. Next month, I am putting it back. Just pick up from where it is. You stop, because there's something about us. Once you feel like I didn't do this, you just stop it, and you're like, what's the point? And it really doesn't make sense.
Somebody is asking, before we go back to Zoom, someone is asking, is it right for someone to borrow money for business startup or to start up a business?
So this is purely up to you. I wouldn't recommend it. For almost all the business I've done, I had to bootstrap until I got to a certain point. The truth of the matter is,
some of them don't know what bootstrapping is. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Bootstrapping is basically all your own funds. You just, you jammer, you just put here, get from mommy, daddy, or anybody, or all of that, friends and all of that. So that's really around bootstrapping, where you put in your own funds. It can be really dicey if you borrow funds and you're not able to give it back. Let me tell you something a couple of friends did. They wanted to start their business and they needed to raise money and they didn't have money. So do you know what they did? They called family members together and friends. They said they were doing a kind of outing and presentation and this thing on a bit of fundraising, but they were not too clear on that fundraising. And so when they came, they did a presentation on a business, and they were very, because what I found out is sometimes we're not serious, especially women. You say you are doing business and you just didn't, you've not articulated what it is you want to do well and all. So they came together, did a presentation of their business, what they wanted to do, the numbers in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years, where they are going to break even, all of that. They got all their numbers right. And then they called their families and they did that presentation from there. And people were like, wow, okay, I want a stake in your business. I will give you this money. Give us this percentage. Do you know they floated their business? They floated their company right now because they were able to get their family and friends buy-in to actually invest in their business. And so I would advise you, if you can do it on your own, fine. If you're going to get a loan, that will not be too much of a burden to you, and it will not become a stress. I mean, it's relatively up to you. But I can tell you that I, for one, even banks are weary of giving out funds to start up, because the likelihood and chances of it surviving is really high, because you can have ginger today. When life hits you, or when FIRS hits you, you'll be like, why am I even doing this business again? You need that tenacity and resilience. So if you know you're not cut out for it, I strongly wouldn't advise that you take a loan. It's too much for you to deal with while you're starting your business.
Someone is asking, investment channels. Do you know any specific investment channels? There are just so many questions. Okay. Oh my God. Do you know any specific investment channels?
Yes, there are investment channels. You could join financial clubs. There's some I could recommend. There's Tomi Balogun's Financial Club. There's Shalade Shakin's Financial Club. There's Harvest, which is a financial app where she uses she invests in agricultural produce. So you put in some form of money. So agricultural things are, for me, it's always good, because people will always eat, people will always feed. But you also have to be very careful where the farms are located, or who you're putting where the farms are located. With the way insecurity is high in the north, if you have farms in the north and then they go and burn down the farms before tomorrow morning, basically almost all of that is lost. But depending on the platform you use, they usually insure the funds, where you can get at least your equity or capital back, even if you do not get the return on investment. So I would say that please look out for that. But there are different platforms that you can go. I try as much as possible to refrain from mentioning specific platforms, especially now that people are just running away with other people's money. I try to be very careful with that. But then there are quite a number of platforms you can look at. I know Cowrywise is doing well. I know FundBay is you can check out some of these apps and see the ones that work for you. But if you're looking for an app, I would say, first of all, look at the rates, make sure it is very realistic. Because I mean, look at inflation in the country, and somebody is now giving you some very ridiculous high rates. You too, you have to think about it, that it doesn't make sense. One, and then look at what you're trying to achieve, and if that platform helps you to achieve it, the convenience. Are they able to take out funding for you? I mean, your money immediately? Because one of the good ways that you can know an app works for you is that it automates what it is you want to save. So if you can automate that, okay, I want to take out 5,000 every month. Once the money enters your account, you automate it in such a way that the moment the money is dropping into your account, that 5,000 is taken. So you're not even planning that, you're planning with what is left in your account. And this was really one of the ways I saved. Another way you can do that is, and this one can be really trying, is gifts. Gifts is a form of income. The gifts people give you, it will shock you if within a year you decide to save all the gifts they give you. You would be amazed the amount of money that you are getting, that you've been throwing away and you've not just been using judiciously. I did it 1 year and I was like, oh, really? You know, the money you didn't plan for, that just came into your hands and you actually put it away. You'll be so amazed at what it is you do. So look for platforms like that. I know Carrywise is good. I know Piggyvest works too for automating savings and all the likes. Harvest is a good one. There are quite a number of them, you know, so maybe what I might try to do is do a comparative analysis going forward, maybe into next year. Somebody said, how can I manage?
Thank you so much. We can't keep taking questions. Like you come back again. We'll love you to come back again. Is it fine? Will you come back again? Yeah, please. We'll love you to come back again.
I'll be happy. I would definitely be happy to come back. I'm starting a financial literacy club for women next year anyway, so I'll be happy to onboard.
Wow, fantastic!
Yes, so that can also work for them. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Before you go, I just saw something now. There's a friend of mine, a very good friend, and he's a Ghanaian, currently in the US, and he's telling you all participants that he said, I'm going to develop a free budgeting template for all beneficiaries. Like, oh my God. And so Isaac, you have dropped your hand and you must say something. And he actually supported with data about 25 to provide data support for 25 participants. He's been very supportive, like absolutely supportive. And I just want to give him the floor to say something. He's a guy, but this coaching call is open to everyone today. So Isaac, you have the floor. Where are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You don't want to turn on your video. We want to see your face.
Really? It's kind of in the morning here, so I'm not in my best shape.
Okay. It's okay. So we're listening.
Yeah, so you a great presentation and a lot of information out there. I'm sure some people are lost on the amount of content you've given them right now. So if there's any spreadsheet you have, you can share with us so they can have those notes taken. For the financials, I'm like you. There are a lot of platforms online where they kind of support, new businesses, venture capital funds, and all those things. So just Google. You never know what you come across. Just adventure everywhere you can. I am into Excel. I do a lot of Excel stuff, Excel databases, and I think that I can easily develop a template to help them budget, and I can also do one to help them do their accounts reconciliations, so that you know how your business is doing at every point, and then decide where the investment should go more.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr.
We're excited. Thank you so much. Thank you, Isaac. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I am supporting. I love girls. I was born into ladies. I was home with 4 sisters, and I know the only initiative that was there at that time was for them to go to a catering school or to sew. And for me, this is like a whole reinvention of the modern lady. To go into tech, it is not rocket science. You can do it, but it takes strong men to help our ladies to achieve. We can't just watch our ladies try to make it. We have to also stand behind them and let them succeed. So for me, if I'm doing this for my sisters. What they couldn't get, I want the other lady to have.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Excellence.
So
let me just say this. Thank you so much, Isaac. I'm so sorry. I just have to say this. Everything I am today and what I'm still going to be, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just starting. This is just touching the edge. This is like scratching the surface. But everything I am today is basically because I have a husband who cheers me every step of the way and does not live a competitive life with me. And I have to say that because Isaac said something very, very important. The man you marry or the man you're with will either make or mar you. So please, it's very important that times are changing and some of our men, and it's not their fault, it's just the way they were raised. So it's important that, and that's another form of wealth, the fact that you have a voice in your home and you have a voice in your community. I'm a woman with a voice in my community and it's going to get louder. And it's not because I want to be in your face like that, but because I know there's a lot of work to do in this space and I'm all out there. So please be very careful the kind of man you are in, and please appreciate Mr. Isaac for what he's doing, because it takes a lot to see a good man supporting a lot of women. Thank you so much, Excellence. I really appreciate this.